All right. Well, hey, good morning, folks. Let's see if I'm up and running, and we'll get to work. We're doing some artwork for Eberron this morning, so checking some artwork for Eberron. That's loud and clear. Sweet. Much better signals these days. I think I just hit my 3rd anniversary of streaming today, or not today. Maybe today. Last week, perhaps. I've been around for a while, so if you think this stuff is cool, obviously I'm not going anywhere, so like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, blah. I'm doing some social media posting here real quick, so I guess I could regale you with my origin story. So my name is Phil Kearney. Hey, I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish them online, and we are currently focusing our attention on creating an adventure for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition in the Eberron campaign world to publish on the DMsGuild called Crystals of Mabar. This is about a manifest zone in the Carnwood of Carnath coming into manifesting. It's converging with, or co-terminating with the plane of Mabar, and necromancers are controlling the activity. Your characters are hired to find out what's going on, what's causing it, and what can you do to stop it. So, yeah. So we're building out the adventure for that. Let's see. I think that's pretty much all I gotta say about that right now. So let me rearrange my windows here real fast now that we're up and running. I'm on the Twitter platform. If you are as well, I am at Phil Kearney. You can get coupons, works in progress, early looks, invitations to play tests, and notifications of like new books that have been released, for instance. So here's a Polyhedron magazine article that got dropped right here about Subclasses Revivified, which is the 69 subclasses that did not appear in the 2024 handbook that were published for 2014 by Wizards. Here they are. So, cheers. And here on the on YouTube, like, subscribe. Hey, new subscribers! Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate you. Like, subscribe, hit bell icon to notifications of when we're live in the future. And here's the full playlist of all 359 episodes of creating all the maps, tokens, illustrations, layouts, and design for the Eberron adventure. Here's a stack of books that I've already created that are all 100% free preview you can see on DMsGuild. Here's my Discord community, and you are most welcome to drop in and participate in the Monday night playtesting that we're going to start ramping into tonight. And Patreon support, God bless you for doing so. Bob's your uncle. All right, cool. So all of that bish bash out of the way. Let's. I created this book cover like around episode 40, and we finished the lettering up around episode 260, I think. So you can check this out. And where are we at right now? Bloop. There we are. So I think what I want to do. I like how this is sitting. Here's. I'm not tracking on my mouse, so I'm going to unplug. Unplug back in. And there it is. Okay, cool. I got my pen back. Yes, touches off. Thank you. Here. I use just a little 6x9 tablet board. It's a tiny little Intuos 2. I want to say it's, what version is it? 10, no, is it 1000C? And then I use the art pen that allows me to, the Wacom 2 doesn't naturally have a free will rotation. The Intuos tablet does, the screen-in-screen tablet, or the screen-in tablet affair, very high end, and it has a double radio signal inside of its pin so that you can rotate objects in space. But if you want that for the Intuos 2, the small tablet, then you have to buy the art pen separately. So we are currently working on structures and illustrations inside of the village. Here we have the constabulary, the floor plan for the constabulary, and the illustration for the constable. Well, hey, Karen. And so across from that, we're looking at, this is the entrance here. We're going to have a sign on here that says, "Welcome to Peace." Just haven't done it yet. And I want to take this, though, and I want to squeeze this down because it's too tall. Free transform. Let's bring you down a smidge. And then let's grab you. And yeah, let's grab the door. This is a grain silo that's located in town. Merge down. Let's hold on. I'll show you. Okay, here's the town. You come in through the entrance here, and you can see this silo and structure. The silo is currently too big for the structure, which is what we're working on right now, resizing the silo and structure. Constabulary, commons, stables, smithy, community well, grain mill, lumber mill, entrance to the forest. Each of these are different areas inside of this region, which are separately tagged for description. And let's see, I want to continue futzing around with this guy. Something like that. Yeah, let's merge those. They'll probably move back to the campsite here in a few minutes, but I just wanted to work on this a little bit because I was messing around. When I play in a Curse of Strahd game every other week on Saturdays, and when I do, as a player, I don't have to deal with as many issues as I do as a DM. So it frees up all my mental space. So unless we're actually in combat, I can draw while I play, because all I'm doing is looking at character interaction. And it's on Discord, so it's all audio anyway, so it's not like I have to look at anybody in particular at any moment until something happens on the virtual tabletop. So I actually get a lot of artwork done while I play D&D. I always have. I've always drawn and sketched and doodled and stuff like that when I play. I could never do that when I DM because I'm always too busy, but as a player I always enjoyed it because it was basically just free time for me to have laughs with people and just paint. Or draw, rather. I used to have sketchbooks. Tons of sketchbooks in college. I would just dump ideas and D&D stuff into while we played. It was so much fun. There. I used to have the grain mill sitting on a third of the page, like a description of it, but I've decided I want to make a little bit of a fun house out of it and add more events and encounters and stuff inside of it. So I'm expanding it out to be its own page, and we'll have a layer. We're going to have This is a separate map for the top of the grain mill that drops into the grain mill. Then we're going to have the grain mill itself, not the grain mill, grain silo. Sorry, the silo itself be an area inside of the warehouse, be an area on top of the silo, and rooftop be a separate area. So 3 areas: inside the silo, inside the warehouse, and on top of the building. So that allows us 1, 2, 3 columns on the page, and for us to have 1, to spot here. I'll see if I can find a similar. It would be like this, except this column is over to the far right. The illustrations are in the middle, and then we would have ground level of the silo, the grain mill itself inside, and then the rooftop would fill basically this 2/3 space in the center column. And then the left side we can have around the structure, on top of the structure, inside the structure, and between those two columns I should be able to deck out plenty of language for the silo, for the warehouse itself. So there's a number of dead people that are inside, and there's undead that are trapped inside of the silo, and you can see things from the top of the silo. And it's a good defense point in case the team gets overwhelmed, so I want to spend extra time and attention on it. And we're spending a full 2 pages for the interior of the commons of the commons hall, because this larger structure here is the actual commons hall with like pews and a dais and stuff. And then the back end here, there's the village office and then the mayor's apartment next to the constabulary. So this is a section here. Technically the apartment, the office, and then the main hall are 3 separate sections. But there's enough details going on inside of both the office and the main hall that I want to have a 2-page spread with it to be able to really dive into like all the minutia of what's going on. So like the warehouse and the commons house, common hall, are 2 like micro locations, like micro dungeons inside of the village itself. While like the lumber mill, the sawmill, and the smithy are just provide flavor, text, and additional in-game context for the attack on the town. The constabulary is also emptied out, so the actual threats that exist in the town are only in the warehouse, the commons hall, and the stables. So, and then if there's any sounds of combat, each round of combat you roll a d6, and if the result of the d6 is equal to or less than the number of rounds of combat your characters have been engaged in, it attracts more undead in the area. So small combats get resolved quickly. Slow combats become bigger problems. So you can, so the DM can pace how soon you want it. Like you could have a combat, give them a skip, like a round or 2. To catch their breath, and then the undead horde that noticed them re-engages them with a new initiative for characters that regain resources on initiatives. So it makes it easier for the team to tempo through these things. But that's a quick just a quick like where we're going, what we're going to be doing. This feels appropriate, except I think I need to make the door bigger. Blah blah blah. Bigger is better here. So let's grab this. I'm gonna merge down, cut and paste, expand on the size, and then shrink its height. Should be about like that. And this needs to back off a bit like this. Bit bigger on the scaffold. getting the thickness of that curve of the underneath the stairs is actually so important, because this is the width that we have here, and I need to have something similar in width up here. I'm going to end up fighting with angles and curves for probably an hour, which doesn't make for necessarily good content. So I'm going to probably conclude working on this here in just a tick and move back to the campground, which is more organic and less precision based. But I wanted to show you where I was at with this, because I'm pretty proud with this piece. I love doing little forced foreground stuff. That is always super fun to do. I'm gonna get rid of this stuff up here. Build out that space, drop that down there. We were talking about the gray boxes that we're going to put the dark text inside of, and how we can manipulate its borders of the box to become interesting things. And I'm thinking about that here too. Like, I think it's 160. I think 160 is the color that we're using for the blocks. Hold on real quick. There we go. Yeah, 160. Boom, 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 boom. Let's go with right column. And grab all of this. Make this left column. And we don't have, well, we have a little bit of a ribbon down here that we can put some flavor text into, or like flavor illustration, just like spot. Text, left, right, good. Take the text to the top. Take this box here. Have this bleed down. And blend into the trees. I can probably like go with like since this is gray, we could drop into like a greeny color as we blend down. And I can specifically leave it excluded here. Actually, if I just wash across the whole thing and just drag it in, I can have it blend into the tree line back here a little bit. I haven't quite figured out the language about the border here, and then like bleeding the border into the square. I don't know if I want to have this like actually merge up to get rid of this margin here between the text or not. These are the challenges that I'm facing currently. So let's take this for instance, and we'll put a block on that. Here as well. Like, I could keep them separated, or I could connect them. I don't know if there's value in connecting them or not. Like, I know what box texts look like. I've been looking at box texts since I was a little kid. I know what a box text is, and that describes the language, like the description of the area around it. But I've never really seen anyone mess with the element of the box text to see what it could become. I'm kind of thinking about these things bleeding together. Ideas like this. Something like that. Like that's the idea of it. I don't know if it's a good idea or not. I don't hate it. So immediately looking at it doesn't immediately piss me off, but it doesn't fill me with joy either. So there's something to that. Seven, 14, 21, 28. So about a 30-foot silo. Yeah, that's the idea behind that. So I'm gonna save that for now. I'm gonna switch gears to save the changes. I just made those changes. Why didn't you save anyway? Let's go back to the campground. All right. You got another 40 minutes. We're doing okay. So tonight is going to be the last night that I have a live stream in the evening for a number of months. Next week, we are officially starting the Martial Powers playtest Mega Dungeon for level 3 to 10. That's happening on Monday night Seattle time, 5:30 till 9, which is 8:30 till midnight on the East Coast, New York time. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that. I'm just gonna have an open desk tonight. So for people that have already said they want to participate and can drop through, we can start looking at character builds and stuff like that. We'll have our official session 0 and character collaboration. That will officially be next week, and then we'll actually be gaming, like actually in dungeon, throwing dice, killing stuff, and stealing treasure on the 9th. And it will go from December 9th probably through May. So the gear shift is going to be that my home table, my D&D table, it has hold on, I'm going to get rid of this. My weekly home table that I run for D&D is let's go with lounge. Cool, we're already on lounge. I'm trying to use words. Give me a minute. So yeah, my weekly team is my coworkers. So I get to I play D&D every week with my coworkers at lunch, and so on we gain our lunchtime adventure is what our corporate club is called. So LTA, lunchtime adventures, that happens either on Mondays or Wednesdays, depending on what our workload is going to be for that week. So we've already determined that this week we're going to LTA on Monday, which is today. Normally I stream on Thursday nights, Tuesday and Friday lunchtimes, and then I have my Saturday morning brunch stream, Workbench. But now that we're firing up the playtest, I'll be dropping Monday night, only having Thursday night, and then so either we game on Monday or Wednesdays. So the day that I don't game with my coworkers, I will stream instead. So this week, game is on Monday today, so that means that, well, tonight will be the last time I stream for the next 6 months or so on a Monday night, and then so starting next week I won't be on screen, but like next week will probably be, my lunchtime adventure will probably be on Wednesday next week. So that means that I'll have a lunch stream on Monday next week. And so it'll either be on Monday or Wednesday plus Tuesday and Friday. Those will be my like hour to hour and a half long lunch streams. I'll still have my Thursday night design stream. I'll still have my Saturday morning brunch, and then we'll be doing playtesting Monday nights through June. So a 3.5 hour shift, kind of West March. It's a mega dungeon, but I want to have it. It's structured so that we can West March it. So we have 3.5 hours to go into the dungeon, tear as large of a hole into it as we can, and then extract. And when we extract, we take our long rest. I mean, you can take a long rest during the course of the day if you know, while we're playing if you want. But we will end the adventure on a long rest. Withdrawing from whatever situation you're in. Retreating back to take a long rest, and then when we wake up, we could have different players on the playtest, or a player could choose a new character. So going back to camp is an easy way for us to maintain that narrative. And every time the team goes back to the camp, there's a chance for the dungeon to restock. So yeah, there you go. Ongoing ideas like that. And I'm not getting the foreshortening here properly on this character. So I want to drop you way the way down. I might have to give up on this lane on the side idea. It just doesn't seem to be panning out properly. The problem is that it's pinching into the camera a lot. Like the foreshortening is getting a little radical here. Like if I were to have the legs like this. And then I'm working with an angle on the side of tweaking their torso. It's a difficult angle. I don't think I'm happy with it. But I like these two. I like the idea of these two interacting with each other, and I like the positioning here. It de-emphasizes the focal point. If I shift this character away from this lower point upward, it starts to encroach in the guard's perspective. So it flattens the image. If the two strong focal points are horizontal, it flattens the image. So you want to keep an angle, that this angle between these two dots here or these two dots here. And while this guy's lining up on this dot okay, there's not much particular excitement happening over here. Though I'll probably give S'mores guy here a little stick, like with a marshmallow or something on the end of it, to make this a point of interest. But this is a strong focal point here with the guard overseen, because it's above the rest of the horizon line, so that stands out on its own. This would be a good place to anchor something across from it. I'm just having Trixies with, let's go with Ref. It's Trixies. That's all I'm trying to say. So this is roughly where the butt of this is at. Crouching, standing. I can do sitting here. That'll be okay. It's cheating. I mean, it's lessening the vision, but I just can't get the angle right on that, and it's not worth it. The idea of them laying down, it helps the perspective, but if I just make it a shorter person, squatting will be fine. So here. Hips. Now I'll take care of that foot too, by shortening over that foot. Here, hollow you out a little bit. There, cross legs. Arting cross legs is not necessarily very easy. It's fun when you get it right, though. And then I can reduce the size of this one a bit. Size a tick. S'mores can come down a tick. Actually, you do need to come up a bit there. Because foreshortening is a thing. So let's peel this open, get into here. We're just gonna bounce back and forth between these smudge prints until they start actually looking like people. I'm eyeing that guard back there. I'm gonna mutter a lot. It's gonna happen. I'm really. If folks didn't check out my Saturday morning stream, we were working on Ravnica, MTG backgrounds, Ravnica, Strixhaven, and Theros, and I am really excited about the ground that we made today, or on Saturday rather, because. I've always been interested in Strixhaven, but I've never actually ran anything for it yet. It was the inspiration for the Martial Powers project. Originally, when we made the color mana system, it was just for spellcasters because mana, spellcasters, spellcasting, MTG. There you go. But as the project continued to be successful and I continued to enjoy using it in my own campaigns, it became clear that this mana resource, it was advantageous for spellcasters, but more so the flavor, the narrative flavor that goes into color magic. Martials were missing that. So it was a whole dimension of character development that Martials, again, did not get access to. So I wanted to rectify that. So creating the Martial Powers project was a means of finding a way to get a mana pool onto every character, regardless of what their narrative is. So that mana becomes the default resource system for the characters in 5e, specifically in Magic the Gathering settings, but though it's applicable to all campaigns equally, because it's just a clip-on system that replaces spellcasting as it is and adds additional resources to marshals to keep up with spellcasters. And the idea there was, like in Strixhaven, it's a magic college that teaches, right now the way that it's framed is it teaches spellcasting, but if every character has a mana pool, Strixhaven, instead of being a spellcasting school for wizards and druids and warlocks and bards, it becomes a place to learn how to control your mana. Whether you're a monk, sorcerer, wizard, fighter, rogue, barbarian, it doesn't matter. Everyone has a mana pool, so everyone can learn how to use their mana pool better, which is what Strixhaven now becomes built for. And they have a sport called Mage Tower that is super fucking cool, but if your characters have mana and everyone is working off of, like, say, a short rest resource, then if you were to use Mage Tower as a challenge, you could for Magecraft tournaments reduce short rests to the space between period. There's 3 periods, like in hockey, period 1, 2, and 3, and whoever has the highest score at the end of it by throwing a ball through a hole wins the game. So 3 periods, you can take a short rest between each period and make it only like a minute long, so you have a reset, and then you go back in with fresh mana. And that's unfair perhaps to the full casters, but they have a fat battery and cantrips, so like they can lean a little bit more into their cantrips and potentially burn through a full battery during a tournament. Or you can switch them over to Warlock mana, so that they regain, so they have the same progression as a monk and regain all of their mana on a short rest as well. So those options do exist, but the idea of having universal spell points available across all classes was the main drive, and so I'm excited about the work that we did on Saturday, because we're translating the 2014 style backgrounds for Ravnica, Strixhaven, and Theros into the 2024 language, and it's creating so many fun opportunities for us to improve on what Wizards had provided inside of Ravnica and Strixhaven as settings and adventures. Namely, they had originally tied gaining spells and various like guild perks in Ravnica, or like piety or like devotion to a specific god in Theros. Ravnica tied into your background. Strixhaven tied into your background. But Theros didn't do any backgrounds other than the champion, which is just a kind of a throwaway little idea, like I'm a champion of this god, so I'm going to get some benefits with them. But everything god-driven in Theros is piety, which is just another name for the renown system. And so if we decouple from Strixhaven and Ravnica backgrounds, we can make like Rakdos and Boros and Lorehold and stuff like that. We can make all of those distinct guild and college like backgrounds comply with how all the other 2024 backgrounds are. And then we can move all of the bonus spells and perks and stuff to be more like Theros, where it's part of the piety system instead of the background. So I'm liking that a lot, because you can gain piety, you can gain renown, and in Strixhaven we're adding the resource, instead of renown or piety, we're calling it college credits. So as you accumulate more college credits, your character becomes more versed in the college that they're training under, whether it's Lorehold, Silverquill, Prismari, Quandrix, or Witherbloom. It has all 5 colors represented across those 5 colleges. So like if you had a Rakdos Guild character that wanted to be in a spoiling the lead there, in a Strixhaven campaign setting, they can have the Rakdos background, which is very similar to like Lorehold or Silverquill or whatever, but instead of and then they can gain renown or college credits with whatever college they choose, and like Rakdos is black and red, so like it would be most logical that like they would be with Silverquill, which are like thespian artist types, which is like what Rakdos is. So you would go to Silverquill for black mana, and then like you would go to probably Prismari, physical expression, for your red mana. You could go Lorehold, but they're more scholastic studying and discovery, and Rakdos isn't really into that. They're more about freeform expression and rage. So Prismari and Silverquill are the two schools or the two colleges that, like, say, a Rakdos student would naturally lean themselves towards to pick up that mana color, to gain mastery of that, and to accumulate spells in the college that they have through their college credits. And then, if you're part of a plane spanning campaign, you can also be accumulating renown with Rakdos by whatever the missions that you're like the adventures that you go on count as college credits if they further the goal of the college that you're studying under. Meanwhile, they can also increase your devotion to gods in Theros if your goals are aligning with what theirs are, and if your goals are aligning with the objectives of the Rakdos clan in general, you can gain renown with them as well. So one adventure can give you potentially multiple points of contact to different organizations that your character has devotion to as part of just building your character. So it gives you it builds in an internal reason to go on adventuring, to gain renown, and to see what kind of adventures you can curve into so that you can gain credit or renown or piety with multiple authorities inside of the campaign world simultaneously to help propel your character to become more, famous or renowned or whatever. Anyway, that's the ideas. I'm pretty excited about it. We built out the perks that the colleges all offer the same perks. You get your familiar mascot in advanced form, and then we have the fine steed so that your familiar, so your mascot can become something that you could ride. And then you gain access to high magic, regardless of what your actual spellcasting level is. You'll be able to get access to a 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th level spell once per day that you can cast, just as part of your learning. And then once you get to once your renown caps out, you can burn mana permanently to alter reality around you, and you qualify for professor, or rather dean status with the college that you're in. And Ravnica and Theros each have their own perks depending on which guild or god you're aligned with, depending on the setting. So we just get to feed all that. We still haven't fed that stuff back into the scaffolding, but all that stuff is in the Martial Powers playtest document that we've been throwing up on screen here for literally over a year now. So it's coming along really nicely, and it's going to be one fucking hell of a book when it's done. Slow cooking has definitely served me well yet again. So I'm very excited. This is all, I'm trying to avoid a butt crack, but to get the sensation of muscle mass. Here feels about right. A little duster coat thing down here to conceal the form a little bit so we don't have to be too precise on the anatomy. Something like that. Loose open coat like this. But yeah, that was an unexpected discovery on Saturday. I was just trying to build out the backgrounds, and just the way that the MTG settings are built by Wizards, it just leans them. It just curves into everything that we've been trying to do with Mana so much better. I'm actually really thrilled with most of the directions that 2025 took, because it's 2024 took, because it's just making the stuff that I like to do better. So I mean, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I appreciate books that you know? I mean, if Tales of the Valiant made these mechanics easier, then I'd be excited about Kobold Press. But I mean, what does Kobold Press really do better character options? Oh, I'm punching up again. Sorry about that. Coat. That interaction between the elbow and the knee is actually kind of difficult. Just gotta get your proportions right. Make sure everything sits pretty. I'm a real thick leg kind of guy. I don't know why, but I always draw my legs super thick. Some people draw legs super thin. I'm a thick leg guy. Not that I want to be, it's just that's how it is. Nah, I don't want to have the armor duster. Sometimes I do. I think with this character, not as much. I like the idea of the back flap. Okay, I probably made as much progress on this guy. He's more defined than he was. That's good. So let's keep things equal and move to the guard. Duplicate that layer. Let's drop this one down to lower opacity. Bring this one back in. Let's really drop that down. I can get some interaction going here between these two by having the guard angle this way. Spear. Spear is good. Actually, having the guards distract attention pulled off screen implies incoming activity, which is appropriate. So I like that idea. Let's just do that. And go here. form. Reduce the size of that torso a bit so it pulls away. Here. There. Merge that down, feels good. Merge this all down. One. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that lines up. I watched Arcane over the weekend, Arcane Season 2. I was a huge fan of the first season, so I was really looking forward to this next installment, and I was not a fan. Did not like the new Arcane at fucking all. It feels like they chinsed out on the artwork, like they were cutting corners. It felt kind of AI fed at particular times. The plot line was disorganized. They were introducing a shitload of new elements and characters without the amount of without the time to really dive into the depth. The first season was really good about creating a lot of emotional attachment to the characters because of the amount of time and care they were taking in character development, and they glossed over like all of that in the second season. So I was very much looking forward to it. But overall, I would say it was like at best, like on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say it's more like a 4. While Arcane first season was like a 9, season 2 was like a weak 4. Seriously, I was more interested. I was not interested in half of what was going on, and it had a very anime sort of contrivance to it. It felt like they got rid of the original writers, or the project got too heavily managed. I don't know exactly what happened, but it was nowhere near as good as I had hoped it would be. And it's not my fault for overhyping it. It's just like they literally changed the art style, they changed the writing style, they added in way too much character, just introducing too many characters. They flooded the board, and yeah, just a miss. Could have been way better. Really disappointed. Let's put this here. So there you go. That's my review of the new season of Arcane. Take it for what it's worth. Where's my grid? Because you feel a little floaty. Let's go with the s'mores guy. Do I want to overlap? Overlapping is starting to feel pretty good here, which means I can push guard over a little bit. Which starts putting crouch. Cross. Let's go with crouch. Cross. Let's up the size of cross a bit. Reflect positioning. ours is moving further and further into the foreground. So I probably want to up the size on him a bit. Feels good. Let's go with s'mores over here. Let's see about. You gotta be careful about the foreshortening there. So actually, it's the campfire. I think I want to raise up and shrink down a smidge. There. And maybe I need to flatten out the stones a bit more. There. Put that again. Free transform. Yeah, that feels good. Now we're starting to get super critical of just little minutia placement. So that's a good sign. Let's go to the tents back here and drop them down. That feels good. We can take this tent and put it up again here. I'm going to put it back here like that. That feels good. Let's take this other tent here. Push it off to the side a little bit more. Go get distance with it. Take the whole structure and push it into boundary. That feels good. What is it? 7:40 now. I've got a few minutes left. We're making progress. Definitely making progress. Let's go to crouch. Here. Bring that foot in a little bit just to drop it in size. Hand down's fine. Let's go with cross. We can get rid of the reference stuff for now. Cross. Let's take these and drop them down a lot. Actually, we can drop those out of sight altogether. Yeah, they're coming along. We're coming along. It should end up looking pretty good. S'mores. Just got to mind my angles and not tighten it up too much. I want to keep it a little. I don't. It's not cramping it is important. There's a decent flow space being created here. Let's go to tents. And then here, max out. Bring the whole layer down in opacity instead. Grab that, cut paste, and I can change the angle of this a smidge. Let's go with skew. It should still line up on my references. Yeah, still good. Let's raise this up a bit to make that even out with the curve of those lines, or the curve, just the angles of those lines. Angle is the word I needed, and this one's lining up exactly where I want it, so that's good. And it's parallel, which is a little unnatural. So I want to bring this one down in size a bit to push it back a little bit further behind the peeps, which means that I can bring down the size of crouch and cross. Free transform. Bring them down a touch here. I think crouch is looking okay. He's sitting across, like directly across from S'mores, so that's good for foreshortening and positioning. I can probably afford to drop him down on the horizon just a bit more. It pulls it off, so we'll be able to have some forest here separating the gap between the fire, the guard, and crouch. But yeah, that positioning is starting to look pretty good. So now we get to look at, let's look at cross-legged. I can bring in a bit, probably increase the size a touch. Nah, it's too much. So crouch needs to actually pull in over here a bit. Fire needs to come forward a bit. Guard needs to drop down a bit. So I can have detail here in the form, then I can heavily decrease the detail for the legs here along the fire, just like doing some highlights. That should be able to take care of that against the fire. Crouch is slightly angled, or rather, cross leg isn't actually profile. It's slightly facing the camera nominally, which puts it more like around here. But that's starting to squeeze into the space of crouch, and it's fucking with the perspective. So I feel like this should be here, but does that pull the campfire over? I think I like the idea of cross leg, but it's the angles aren't quite working out the way they're supposed to. So I think I need to we can just toss that into the trash. That's cool. Toss those into the trash, just cleaning up our board a bit, just to keep things sane. Let's drop this one down a little bit further here. And if I can emphasize the front arm over the back, I should be able to get a curve going. It's a little more natural. It's not quite there. I kind of like that. I'm almost out of time, so let's see if I can rebuild this out. Arm, body here. hip structure here, tailbone, coccyx, leg, foot, leg, foot, cross section, drop down. So this is how we're looking with crouch 2 with cross-legged 2.0. Now we're starting to show a back, which might be the best way to do this, actually. It's not bad. And this guy can be tilted and like actually looking at this guy, so we have an eye contact here, even though we can see the back of them. That gesturing is starting to feel a lot better. Something like that might make more sense. I don't want to have an implement yet. Yeah, something like this. That feels better. Still a bit thick and heavy. I'm starting to lose the form. I'm losing the gesture of it. It's getting overworked. Gotta go back. That's when it was sitting prettiest. Too small in comparison to s'mores. So probably want to up the size of Snig. It's too much like s'more. I'm fine with s'mores back being here. That feels good. It helps push the character, the audience into the picture vicariously through s'mores. I think I want to tilt the fire a bit. That feels good. Let's go to crouch. We can push crouch back a bit here, which will be good if I can get s'mores, if I can get this crouch lined up. How's our references? There's that. There's our tents. Feels about, maybe it's s'mores that's a tick too big. Oh yeah, that's feeling pretty good over here now. I think I can drop that down a bit. Here. Alright, I got like a minute left and I gotta bounce. What I really want to do is make sure that I'm not... I don't want the scene to be balanced, but I don't want it crowded either. So I have to be careful over here. there's good disbursement of elements here, and that unto itself is a decent little balance. Have some scrubbage up in there. It's over here that's offset a smidge, so I need to pull him forward. So he's off that center line, or off that third parallel. Let's take our campfire and scooch it over so it stays centered properly. There we go. That probably means I can push the guard back a bit. I don't want her outside of the third. I want her inside so she feels like she's part of the circle. But now it's starting to feel cramped again. So let's take s'mores and pull s'mores away. That way the guard feels like she's actually inside the circle, which is what's important. Having like the framework there. That's really the relationship between them as a team is actually inferred but important by their positioning. Like if she was over here, she would feel more like a hireling. In here, she's like literally part of the inner circle. So that emphasizes her value to the team. That feels good. And then continue to push Crouch over a bit. Raise him up. That feels good. And now we have a little bit more space here for a cross leg. Too big in size though. Almost. There's a this is showing, I think, too much back now. I think I want to have it more like literally parallel, but I'm doing so without flattening the image is going to be, without flattening the character and thus flattening the image is going to be a trick. So far, I like how these things are sitting inside the 3D space. We're getting close on this. It's coming along really nicely. But we are at 7:55 here in Seattle, so I'm going to go ahead and cut stream for now. I will be back. I'm going to have I'll be having my open desk in my Discord from 5:30 till 7 tonight, and then from 7 till 9 Seattle time. That'll be 10 till midnight East Coast. 10 till midnight East Coast, I'll be on stream, probably working on Strixhaven, Theros, and Ravnica backgrounds some more. And thanks a lot, Karen Cat. I hope you get good rest and you heal quickly. Being off your feet because of getting rid of bone in the foot is no joke. So I hope you have a fast recovery and that's relatively painless, sister. And anyone else out there in the future, hoping to catch you. And like, subscribe, bell icon. Check out my books in the description down below. If you like them, grab some. Let me know what you think. Join my Discord. Yeah, you bet. I will see you guys on the other side. Later, Gators.